Welcome to Capital Talk, a program we hope will have an impact on the future of Kenya. I'm Jeff Koinange. Now, my guest today is a self-proclaimed champion of the Maasai cause. He's a 5-time MP from Narok North, having gone into parliament since 1988. Before that, he was a powerful chairman of the Narok County Council. He has held several ministerial jobs in his tenure, from state to home affairs to local government, all across the board. Now he is part of the coalition cabinet. My guest today, though, is most famous for making a certain remark to a certain tribe. He said, "You must lie low like an envelope." We'll ask him about that. But first, let me introduce my guest, Minister for National Heritage and Culture.
Thank you very much,
Mr. William ole Ntimama.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
First of all, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Coalition cabinet. A lot of people are very skeptical that this thing won't work. What do you tell them?
I'm not skeptical at all. Many people are saying that it won't hold. But I can tell you, Jeff, I think it will hold. Where we have come from, we have come from a debilitating debacle, as I say, the post-election violence, as it were. And nobody would like to go back there.
Correct.
So I hope, with all the wisdom of our principals and the Kenya cabinet, I think it will hold.
Yeah. Yes. It was a difficult period because there was that impasse, there was the stalemate. A lot of people thought that the talks were going to collapse, but they didn't. Was it a tough period between the signing and the announcement?
It nearly broke. I am in the know. It nearly collapsed completely. But somehow, the two principals had to save it for the sake of Kenyans.
Yes.
And that is what it is all about now.
Yes.
There's a little bit of people complaining here and there.
Right.
But it's normal for a thing like that.
Yeah.
Some people think they should have been included in the cabinet. Some, of course, think that they come from bigger groups or bigger communities or bigger tribes. But I think what they have done is about the best that we expect.
The number 40, is that a comfortable number? Because you've heard the words bloated, you've heard it's too fat, it's too big. America has 15, the UK has 22. Why should we have 40?
My personal view is that it is a little bit bloated, and we could have done with a little bit of a lean government, for that, because it's a question of who will actually, shoulder the expenses of this bloated government. The ministries, for example, it will cost money, and the taxpayer will have to go back into his pocket to pay for these ministries.
Yeah. You're a veteran politician and a veteran minister as well, having held several portfolios. There are a lot of new faces in this cabinet. They're going to be looking to people like you for experience. What are you going to tell these newcomers?
Well, I mean, politics is a very interesting game. I think the question is they must be able to study situations before they start blowing up and before they start being dissensive. And we want to make sure that we work as Kenyans. And that is what we are going to tell everybody, that we are a nation and we must actually work as a nation and try and shed, although it is very difficult to shed out a little bit of our alignments in politics, our ethnic affiliations and all these other things.
Yes. In the post-election period, it looked like there was a lot of animosity between ODM and PNU. As politicians, as individuals, can you all get along?
Well, they're still, we'll get along, as I've said. We might, this coalition must hold. And we have no alternative but to try and make sure that it holds for the sake of this country and for the sake of Kenyans. But definitely people went out scratching on one another. And so we need time to build up personal approaches, personal friendships. And that would be very important.
You served under two presidents, sir, under Arap Moi and Mwai Kibaki, and of course now the coalition government. How different is Kenya today from, say, 1988?
Well, it's different in one way, Jeff, that I can tell you. The awareness of the people of Kenya is so high now. Unlike the time of Kenyatta, where everybody would obey, what what the president said became the law, like during the Kenyatta time, and when your father or your stepfather was a minister, it was the pronouncements that became law, and people of Kenya had to follow. When Moi came, it nearly was that way. You can call it, mild dictatorship or whatever you want, because. But now, the people of Kenya are so aware of their rights, and nobody would like their rights to be trampled on. And that is where we are, including the pastoralist communities like ours, including, other people like the Ndorobo, for example. We have the Ndorobo in Mount Elgon, and we have the Soy, and everybody says, these are my land rights, and that's why there is a conflict. So Kenya is different. We've got to guide these people well, because to avoid any explosion, we must try and guide the people right and defend their right and give them their democratic rights.
Speaking of explosion, Mheshimiwa, Mungiki, it's fast becoming a menace and seems out of control because police don't seem to have a clue where they're going to be popping out from next. What should be done?
It is very dangerous. And I have been saying myself, and I'm glad, Jeff, I got this opportunity. I have been complaining that, Mount Elgon has been really, badly handled by the Kenya government. Because the military are supposed to look after our borders. The military are supposed to protect us from, enemies from outside. And when you put the military into one location, like that of Sabaot, and really harass them, arrest them, and do all sorts of things, you wonder what is happening. Because I thought the police were able to contain, a small clique of people, a small outfit, that probably, a small ragtag outfit that you probably don't think it will number 100 or whatever the thing is. So I think the police must come out and control things like Mungiki, because they can. Although I'm a bit skeptical, I don't think our Kenya police are trained, because what I say is that they're probably not trained, because the way they handle the crowds in the post-election violence showed exactly that they cannot handle the crowd. They are not well trained. So I think the police must go out from now on to control a criminal gang like the Mungiki. But they must know that they must try and get their intelligence, because they're very well organized.
At the same time, coming back to Sabaot, they are a nuisance as well, because they're going around with their bows and arrows, and they are causing a lot of mayhem in that Mount Elgon area.
But why can't the police control this? Why do we have to call in the military? Why, a country like this, where, why do we have enough policemen, we have the GSU, we have the intelligence, we have everything. Surely you can control a ragtag outfit, as I say, which don't number even 200. And when you bring helicopters and helicopter gunship, and you bomb small little villages, and you arrest people en masse, it is not just fair.
At the same, so what do we need? We need a good police force.
Yes,
and we
well trained.
Well trained. And we also need a minister who will be able to control all these different outfits.
You can say that again, because when you have a minister who is partial, and who has got affinity or affiliated to some groups and some, then you don't win.
Clearly, there's no love lost between yourself and your colleague.
Well, we had to clash in Parliament because he came out supporting a certain group.
Yes.
And he should not have done it, because he should be a totally impartial person when dealing with a security situation like this one.
Yes.
Because the people were killed everywhere, and in Eldoret, for example, and even in Naivasha. So he should have balanced these things as it were.
Yes. But speaking of impartiality, you're also extremely passionate about the Maasai.
Well, I am, because these people were very, very badly treated by the colonial government, by the British, by the white men. And we have never actually been saved from that kind of humiliation and trauma, as I call it. We lost our lands, and we never got back an inch of land completely from from the ruling people, Kenyatta and everybody, and actually the British. If you look at some of their writings, they say leave the Maasai alone. I mean, forget them because they are not submissive. You find out a little research,
Yes.
and so we were left completely outside the mainstream development, and that's where we are. So I'm very critical that we must come into the mainstream development and get developed, build schools, build roads, build and water and dips and all those sort of things. Otherwise, we will look like we are not part of these people here in Kenya.
But let me ask you this. Speaking of building roads, building schools, building towns, Narok County Council is probably the most lucrative, the richest in the country because it still gets money from the Mara. You negotiated a deal where they still get paid by the Mara.
Yeah.
And that town should be better than Nairobi.
Well, it is, but you know, we have got into this culture of, of not quite, looking after their finances, and people, go out putting their hands, pinching things and so forth. But definitely I agree with you. But we need to manage the finances from the Mara properly and in a better way to be able to give services to our people. And some of these big people in Nairobi or in the Ministry of Wildlife and Tourism have not been helpful either. Some of them have been part of the loot, and so I say it could not richer than Nairobi, but we should have been actually, when I was chairman of Narok County Council between 1974 and 1983, we had a reserve fund of 20 million shillings. That was a long time ago, but we did it.
Yes.
So it's a pity that the management is not very good.
Yeah. Mheshimiwa, with this coalition cabinet, with this coalition government, are people going to be held more accountable now, you think?
Well, that is actually what must happen. And the people of Kenya should not be blamed for rising up and demanding to know what is happening and demanding actually to hold the government accountable to most of these things and to hold certain people accountable, to the ministries, to the way they spent money and all these things. They must be made. And I have said the awareness of the people of Kenya is pretty high now. So we should expect these people not to allow little things to go, not to be intimidated. Yeah, they have got to exercise their rights to know.
Do you see the end of things like a Goldenberg or an Anglo leasing? Have we seen the last of scandals?
I'm very disappointed, Jeff, that Goldenberg actually still the money that was stolen by the Goldenberg perpetrators is still destroying this country in terms of electioneering, in terms of buying people. The government has done nothing about it. We have seen, certain, the courts being established, but they came out with nothing. Even, I'm so disappointed. The other day there was a case and the 3 judges said, so-and-so has done nothing, so he must go free. And Anglo leasing, all these people are using that money to buy people, to fight elections, and the government has done nothing. It is hitting small little fellows, and leaving the big guns and the big boys to go scot-free with all the money they have stolen from our coffers.
It's not right.
Very bad.
I want to talk more about Anglo leasing and Goldenberg and also how we move forward as a nation. But first, we're going to take a break. My guest today, the Honorable Minister for National Heritage and Culture. He's also the MP for Narok North, Mr. William Ole Ntimama. You are watching Capital Talk only on K24. Back in a moment. Welcome back. My guest today, the Honorable Minister for Heritage and Culture, Mr. William Ole Ntimama. So, sir, obviously, the ghosts of the past may come back to haunt some of your colleagues.
It's not a question of coming back. It's haunting us right now. I mean, those people are still powerful in government. They've stolen billions of shillings. They have run down the economy of this country, and they know, and we know, and they're still the ruling elite in this country. And you see, it's unfair that these people are still there and the government has done nothing.
Why do you think they've been allowed to go scot-free, as you say? Why do you think they've been allowed to rule with impunity, if you will?
Because the ruling class is part of them. I mean, it's part of them. Either they are sympathizers or people who condone these things, or they have shared part of the loot.
Are we going to see a change now that there's a coalition? Are we going to see the change that Kenyans deserve?
I don't know, but we should see change. At least these people, the robbers, the land grabbers, the people who steal our property, should be completely thrown out of this government. They should not be there. And you know very well. Although, and they can't resign because very interesting. You see, in America, if you caught up with a little scandal, you resign, and the government follows. Here, it's not. They have no. They have no honor or respect to themselves and to the country, so they stick on. And these are people who must go out of running this government.
Why do you think we idolize these people? Some Kenyans just idolize people who steal and steal and steal. Are those days going to be behind us? Can we see the day when we idolize our athletes?
Hopefully, if we don't become people who can be bought with a few shillings, and you forget your democratic right, and you folk to fight for your rights, because these are people, and it has to be the public. The public must be made aware and must know that they must actually rise up and fight against these anomalies committed by these people.
Yeah. At the end of the day, do we owe it to the people who came before us? And by that I mean people like Jeremiah Nyaga, who's just passed away, people like Eliud Mahehu, who's just passed away as well. Do we owe it to people who were there before us to make this a better country?
No, most of these people who were there before, you mentioned Jeremiah Nyaga. To me, he taught me in Kahuhia, for your information.
Is that right?
And I have to go to his funeral, and I'm definitely going to to the church ceremony tomorrow. Jeremiah Nyaga is one of the honest leaders that we have had. Well, I would say that even people like Mahehu and so on, they started grabbing a little bit here and here in Mombasa and so on, but it didn't really get out of control. Like when people started putting their hands into the government coffers and steal all the money, pretending that they are exporting certain things,
yes.
like in Goldenberg, for example. I'm surprised that we got the Grand Regency back, or rather the government has got it back. I still don't know the circumstances. I would like to know.
Maybe there's a bit of justice.
I don't. Yeah, at least it looks like a bit of justice.
Yes. Yes.
So, but I don't know. The background and who is going to run Grand Regency and so forth.
Right.
But I think it was a good sign.
It's a good move.
Good move. Yeah.
I have to come back to this whole accountability thing. Corruption now, hopefully, will be checked along the way, because with ODM and PNU and ODM Kenya and KANU, everyone in government and no opposition, it's incumbent upon the individuals now to check each other.
I've just heard when I was coming to your interview that most of the young people from Mount Kenya and from ODM are trying to get together to form some kind of opposition in parliament,
yes,
so that things just don't pass, because there is this question of coalition together. But whatever it is, people are going to make sure and are going to see that things, the government is held, and the ministers and all those in authority will be held, accountable. And we want a credible government. Yes.
Thursday, swearing-in ceremony. It's going to be a big event. It's going to be hopefully the start of a new chapter. What happens from there?
Well, we go back to our offices, go back to Parliament, go and organize. The President will organize meetings of the Cabinet together with the Prime Minister. And as I say, I hope it will work, because everybody want something done for this country, and the people want peace and stability, and they want, the government to start working for them.
Are you proud to be part of this class of 2008?
Yes, I am very proud that at least I am in the cabinet, at least, and I think the ministry that I'm in is good because it deals with our heritage, it deals with our culture, and I am particularly interested about preservation of our heritage and of our culture, for example, because we have tended, Jeff, to idolize other people, other cultures, and this is why we have not got our children properly on the right track, because the African culture is very good all over Africa, and you have gone everywhere in Africa. The culture of the African is very good. Take, for example, a small thing. The respect of elders is all over Africa, and the fact that, look at the Maasai Moran, for example, between 16, 18, 19, 20, 24, you're not allowed to touch tobacco. You're not allowed to touch alcohol. So, I mean, you can see what is happening right now. Children of 14 years old in primary school sniff glue yes. and all sorts of things. So we are in trouble. So we need to hold our culture. We need to build it up. We need to renew, and then we can probably go back to our African heritage.
Let's go back to that comment you made 20 or so years ago. You must lie low like an envelope. What did you mean?
Well, I mean, I have a friend called Katabaki.
Yes.
And he came to Parliament. I think he came to Parliament. This is the first time I'm giving you the whole story,
yes.
actually, as what happened.
Yes.
So he came back to Parliament. And although Tiptip had already gone, I mean, he was completely humiliated by the government and by Moi himself. He went along, he was in prison and completely ruined. So I came to Parliament. And all Katabaki, as you know, just thought I was another Maasai elder who was sent by Moi there because he favored me. So he said, in any case, Ntimama must be careful because the Maasai, according to us, are going to extinct like the Red Indians of America. So the war between me and Katabaki started. Unfortunately, it moved to ethnicity. No, it was between me and the other group to whom actually Katabaki, came from. Yes. So I stood up in Parliament, and I don't know whether you ever caught that one, and say even they, the Katabaki group, are not sellable because they've got red teeth and they've got legs infested by jiggers and they've got protruding stomach. So the war started. First of all, it became between me and Katabaki alone, and unfortunately, it spread a little bit into other areas.
Yes.
So one day, the journalist came around and said, Ntimama, why do you hate the Kikuyu? And we hear that you've got some Kikuyu blood. And I said, for God's sake, I haven't got any Kikuyu blood, and so forth. Did they say, but we hear you have got some Meru blood? I said, that I can't deny. And that is where my relationship with the Meru started, and it started coming up. So that is, and then of course, I went to a meeting in my own constituency, and I told them about what Katabaki had said. I said what they should do is to lie down like antelopes. It was not an envelope. It was an antelope. But, the journalist picked it up and went over and said it was...
an envelope.
It was an envelope.
But it was an antelope.
It was an antelope. But, it became such a famous political thing that we left it, to stay as an envelope. Yeah. And of course I added and say, even them, we hope, they'll be cut down to size, though, like the Igbos of Nigeria.
But those were different days, eh?
Those were days. We are all friends now.
Yeah.
And we are building one Kenya.
Yes. Yes. And the post-election violence we saw in the first 3 months of this year, hopefully that will never come back, right?
Never. Never. This is why this coalition government must work to put and heal, and heal the nation so that we don't ever come back to that again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And future governments, I mean, from 2012 to 2022, that's going to be a completely different Kenya where people are judged by merit, right?
It must, by merit. And ethnicity, tribalism would have, edged out, because the younger people are coming in, well-educated people, people who have gone to the universities together, who have gone abroad together, who have worked in the public service together, and who have done business together. I think these things will disappear. But we must stop this arrogance towards other people, discrimination, and the fact that some people want to be more equal than the others.
Yeah. You think that'll go away?
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. We have no choice.
You have no choice. You have to work together.
Yeah.
And respect other people. It's a question of respecting other people, stopping all the arrogance, and all the arrogance with impunity must go.
Yeah.
And all these domineering tribal groups, must go. And the economy must be shared properly. We don't want to create a class, as JM said, of 10 billionaires and 100 million paupers.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
We don't want that.
Mheshimiwa,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Good luck and congratulations.
Very good.
My guest today, the Honorable Minister for National Heritage and Culture, Mr. William ole Ntimama. He says we must all unite, we must all share the national cake. Kenya, after all, is bigger than an individual.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. You have been watching Capital Talk. My name is Jeff Koinange. You are watching K24, where we are all Kenyan all the time.